Here's a through line that started in fusion cuisine. Why is Steven reading books? Because he's grounded from TV for 1,000 years.
Whoa. How are they gonna get out of this one? Oh, that's how.
Did you just skip like 40 pages, or is that book just written in a way that the conflict resolves in one page?
Hey, it's those things from the Galaxy Warp. Why'd you bring them home?
I think a better question is, why didn't you put them all in bubbles? No doubt they'd probably be able to break out, but the crystal gems don't know that. Put them in a bubble so you don't have to defy physics and gravity to carry them home like this.
Stephen, a very long time ago, gems tried to do something very bad. It was something that would have damaged the Earth. Some gems, like your mother, Garnet, and myself, felt that this was unfair to the life that already existed here, and so we swore to never let the Earth be used for their purposes.
Yeah, no, not really. As the show goes on, we found out that this was literally only Rose Quartz's perspective. Garnet and Pearl couldn't care less about life on Earth, but they had their own reasons for staying here. I'm talking about much later stuff here, but Pearl stayed out of loyalty to Rose, Garnet joined so she'd be free to stay fused. When we get to Bismuth, she joined to fight for her individual freedom from a tyrannical leadership. All of that would have happened regardless of where the rebellion actually started. Rose Quartz was the one who picked Earth specifically because of its existing life. All of the crystal gems have their own motivations, and I think that's really good for character depth. You ever notice these plants growing above the temple door? Or is it moss? How does that even work? How insulated is Steven's house? What kind of humidity allows this kind of stuff to grow? Now that I think about it, I don't think Steven's house is air conditioned, and the only source of heat in the winter is the wood fireplace. This house must be stuffy as hell during the summer.
The No Home Boys! It's a book series about these boys who have no home.
The No Home Boys is an amalgam of a few different children's book series, the Boxcar Children, the Hardy Boys, and Tom Sawyer. I don't have any other insight on that, really, since Tom Sawyer is the only one of those I've read, and that was a long time ago.
But my favorite story is this classic one where the No Home Boys are chased across the countryside by a mysterious pursuer, which turns out to be the very fear resting within themselves.
How do you know all of this, Steven? It seemed like to me at the beginning of this episode that you didn't finish reading this one yet. Don't tell me you looked up spoilers for a fucking children's novel.
Stephen, we are not like the No Home Boys. We are literally standing in your home right now.
Pearl's gotta stop stealing my lines and let me do my job. Also, what happened to all the toothpaste robots?
No past, no future, just the open road.
You can tell by the sound effect that Garnet and Pearl go into Garnet's room off screen. I'm actually unsure if the bubble room belongs to Garnet, but she's the only one who has ever opened that door. In this closet, we see 2, maybe 3 of Steven's typical Star t-shirts. There's the hoodie he wore in Frybo, and the poofy jacket he wore in Arcade Mania. On the shelf are his rain boots, also seen in Frybo, and this is absolutely the rock Garnet gave him in Giant Woman.
Did you bring me anything? Whoa, a rock! Thanks, Garnet!
We're 40 episodes into the series, and this is the first time they've left Beach City properly, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. But like leaving via what seems to be the only road in and out of the city. Otherwise, it's been warping, teleporting with Lion, or driving Greg's van across the ocean floor. And don't say the barn, you can see the city from the barn, that barely counts. It looks like Steven and Amethyst are headed toward another town in the distance here, with a water tower and a radio mast. But this is the last we see of that town. I think ever. Is this the legendary Ocean Town?
I've never heard of Ocean Town.
Exactly.
Remember last episode when I said it was the last one I covered in Crystal Sins? I lied. Well, I half lied. I made 2 episodes that I never released, and now they're up exclusively on Patreon. The point is, I made a point about this train crossing being really bizarre. Why is there only a gate on this side? Why is there a gated train crossing in the middle of nowhere? Seriously, this road isn't even wide enough for one car. Who the hell put this here? I wouldn't categorize this as best animation, but this is definitely the best drawing in the episode. It might be traced. God, I hope it's not traced. Then I'd have to backpedal on a point I made. It'd be a whole thing.
We're on the road.
I don't care about what all the others say.
We're on the
Well, I guess there are some things that will just never go away.
Amethyst has one of the weakest singing voices in the show, which isn't really saying a lot, actually. When the songs are written to fit the voice actor's ranges and fit well into the episode's story, I can ignore the singing. Amethyst's singing voice isn't even bad, it just doesn't hold a candle to Pearl and Garnet's voices. Despite that, I love this song, it's one of the best in Season 1. Amethyst was overdue for a song, too. There's so much action going on in this one pose. Sometimes there's just a moment where they went all in that makes a gag like this so much better. Also, that raccoon and Steven are like the same size, goddamn.
Amethyst, can I have some of your food?
Was this on purpose? Did she wait for him to ask this before fucking demolishing that whole bag of food? It had to be on purpose.
My bindle couldn't fit enough food for me and a raccoon.
Why didn't you bring your backpack?
Dude, what's with characters trying to do my job? Why don't they just make the gemology video for me? You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Nobody needs old Source Master to make gemology when the show's just gonna fucking do it itself. Fuck this.
You know, I feel like I've been misled about hay. It always looks so soft in those illustrations, but it's actually really scratchy.
To add to that, hay bales look like they wouldn't weigh all that much, because hay is light. How much could it possibly weigh? Well, I looked it up, and apparently one of these bales about this size can weigh between 300 and 600 pounds. I reckon Steven should have been squashed like a bug right here.
I'm sure Garnet and Pearl are worried sick about us, wondering when we're coming home.
That's not my home.
But, oh, that's right, you're from Homeworld.
That's not my home either!
Then where are you from?
I think home and where you're from is not at all the same thing. I mean, it can be the same thing, but they're not mutually inclusive. It's super minor, but I think it's weird that Amethyst says that the temple built with her own room and everything is not her home. It's just a split-second moment, and it doesn't matter to the rest of the episode. It's just a nitpick. Look at this hard transition between lush green fields and absolutely nothing. Other than this shot, this episode doesn't really get the point across that the kindergarten is full of death. Even this cow is dead. We get a later episode to explore that, though.
Here we are! Welcome to the kindergarten!
Welcome indeed. This first scene in the kindergarten is, like I said last episode, a masterclass on dark, ominous environmental storytelling. All the color saturation is gone. Everything's gloomy. There's a thick haze floating over the ground. And listen to this scene. You know what's missing? There's no background music. It's replaced with these creepy, kind of digital sound effects just randomly playing in the background. It gets the point across that there's nothing here. It's abandoned, maybe even haunted.
It's kind of where I'm from.
But I thought gems were from space?
Pearl and Garnet are, but I was made here on Earth, like you.
This episode, and this scene specifically, is kind of a huge lore dump. I love how it's presented like it's just a fact of Amethyst's life. Gems are made, they're not born like any normal Earth creature. Gems are manufactured somehow. The show doesn't ever explain the process, which is fine. Some things can just remain mysterious and still be interesting. We wouldn't have anything to speculate about and analyze if the show just explained everything, especially if it's not important to the plot. Is the actual process of creating a gem at all important to the show's story, or this episode's? No, not really.
How long did you live here?
For a while, I guess. At least until I met your mom and the others.
It's not really clear how long Amethyst lived in the kindergarten, or how old Amethyst is at all. I'd have to guess more than 500 years and less than 6,000, but it could be anywhere in that range. Actually, I don't think any of the gems have definitive ages. The injectors are designed based on bacteriophages, viruses that specifically attack bacteria. They inject bacteria with something that makes them create more viruses to the point where they burst and let them all out. That's no coincidence. That's what the injectors are doing to the Earth.
Look, here's the hole I came out of.
Hang on. What?
It's my hole.
Yeah, leave that line in the context of the episode, thanks. Amethyst is supposed to be small for her gem type, right? So why are all these other holes pretty much the same size? Also, Jesus fuck, how many amethysts did they make here?
There you are.
Something I was considering earlier in this episode was whether Amethyst was planning on coming here from the beginning, but probably not if she didn't warp here. I think she did just kind of want to fuck around and brought Steven when he started asking about it. I guess Steven asking questions does lead to things happening sometimes.
Garnet said you'd be here, but I didn't want to believe it. Amethyst, what were you thinking bringing Steven to a kindergarten?
It's really subtle, Pearl saying a kindergarten, implying this is just one of multiple. Which is true, there are two on Earth.
Was Amethyst really made here?
How much did you tell him?
What? You mean about the bad thing? How this bad place is where bad gems came to grow more bad gems? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it was pretty obvious early in the show that there would be a twist eventually, that the gems were actually the bad guys, and they revealed that here. But it's kind of like a double twist. The gems are bad because they did this kindergarten shit and killed everything, but the crystal gems are still the good guys. But it still makes you question them. It's kind of a red herring though, one that I made up in my own head when I watched the show for the first time.
Oh, but don't worry, Steven. Everything's just fine now.
Amethyst?
It all worked out. We won.
Stop.
And we shut this place down so the
Stop.
Earth would be safe from parasites like me.
Amethyst! That's enough!
Holy shit, I gush about line delivery all the time, but I seriously think this scene has some of the best voice acting in the whole show. I don't know what else to say, but sometimes I just need to gush.
Steven, I'm sorry. I never wanted you to see this horrible place.
Never? Never ever? One day Steven would have to ask about how gems are made, and then what? Just lie to him? Just ignore him? Actually, Steven stops asking questions later in the show, never mind, that wouldn't be a problem. This fight scene goes so fucking hard. This is the best fight in the show so far, hands down. The animation, the emotion behind all of Amethyst's swings, it's so dynamic. This isn't just fighting a gem monster, there are some real emotional stakes in this one. We've seen the gems beat every gem monster they fought, but with Amethyst fighting Pearl, it's like, oh shit, who's gonna win this? It gives you a real reason to pay attention and care how it goes. A lot of people ask things like, why doesn't Pearl always do that laser blast attack? But she kinda sucks with it, I think. In the few times we've seen her use it, she's missing or it's not effective. Kind of a crappy neutral B if you ask me. Also, best animation in the episode here. I'm a sucker for these kind of medium shots during action scenes where characters do a couple different moves. When one move flows into another, it's fucking awesome. Pearl do be twirling her spear though.
I never asked for it to be this way. I never asked to be made.
This is fucking heavy. This is probably the most mature this show has gotten so far. There have been some dark moments, but they usually are offset by something lighthearted. Haha, the monster is feeding people fries, or haha, Steven's cat tumors are meowing the whole time. There's none of that here. The entire half of this episode is completely serious. And yeah, this is the first we're learning about Amethyst's origins, and this kindergarten is exactly what the Crystal Gems fought against in the war 6,000 years ago. Of course Amethyst would be beating herself up about that. This feels real. Of course nobody asked to be born into this world, and there are going to be points where everyone struggles in one way or another. Amethyst is real for that. She doesn't feel like a cartoon character. She's a real person with regrets. That's what drives this show. The characters have real problems and emotions that make them feel real. It's so fucking good, man. Ooh, check this out. This is the first time we see Steven intentionally use his bubble power. Not reflex, but like proper on-screen, he does a little motion and the bubble appears. Sorry to take everyone out of the moment, but I gotta bring attention to Steven doing the double hand thing on full display, taking up like 40% of the screen. I can't ignore that one, I just can't.
Amethyst, I had no idea you've been upset about this.
What? You had no idea? Oh, this is like my entire existence.
This talk feels real too. Amethyst doesn't immediately start feeling better, and Pearl doesn't have the right words right away. I hold the opinion that an emotional conversation like this has to be just as dynamic as the fight scene earlier to be interesting. If it resolves with one character knowing exactly what to say and the other character immediately coming around, that's exactly like a fight scene where a character throws one perfect punch and the other instantly dies. Not that interesting when you look at it from that perspective. There's this old meme of character development only happening in this show when someone is crying or singing, and there is some merit to that. It happens a lot. But I've gotten to the point after watching this show who knows how many times that I just kind of think, who cares? Like, if the scene is good, and the character development is good, and the music is good, who cares if that's the route the show keeps taking? All of those moments that people used to complain about are good moments. I don't mind the crying because the crying is actually accomplishing something.
Crystal gems forever! Now let's go home so Steven can sleep in a bed.
Episodes that end without a star wipe always have a reason, and I'm still a bit confused on the reason for this one. This is just a super ominous ending, even though it seems like the episode resolved pretty cleanly. I guess it's to hint that there's more going on in the kindergarten, and it's not as abandoned as it appears. What a fantastic episode. I had almost nothing negative to say about this one overall. It's one of my favorites in season 1, and it's a good example of what makes Steven Universe so memorable. The characters are the whole show. Genuinely, if you ask someone about this show what they like the most about it, I'd have to guess the most likely answer is going to have to do with the characters. And this is an Amethyst episode, my favorite. There, that's a free test question answered. But this episode also highlights everything else the show is known for. The fantastic music, the environments, the voice acting, the art, the deep lore. All of that is almost perfect in this episode, but none of that would matter if we didn't have these characters. I don't do numbered ratings for these episodes, but I'd give this one a 10 out of 10. There's nothing that I would want to change that would make this one better. And if you want to see new episodes a week before they premiere on YouTube, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just a couple bucks. I'll also be posting those old unreleased episodes of Crystal Sins there if you want to see those. The link is in the description, as always. Shoutouts to my Journeyman patrons, Henri Wickers, Bananas Are Violet, Boomblorp, Gage M, Cinderant, Scala LD, and the Tamara. Also shoutouts to these apprentice patrons. Next one is Horror Club, just in time for Halloween.